Good day, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. I am B. This is my channel, Life According to B. Today we're going to talk about something that has affected me deeply in my wallet. So I was going through Facebook and I saw on one of my financial groups that somebody was asking questions about using a peer-to-peer sharing platform to either borrow money or make some extra income outside their normal job. So I'm making this video just to let you know not to do it. We're going to go over exactly what happened to me when I was using the peer-to-peer sharing platform Solo Funds. Now the whole premise behind this platform is to get money to the persons who are underbanked. Now as per the SEC's definition, underbanked does not mean that you do not have a bank account. All it means is you do not easily have accessible to lines of credit. Some people have taken that definition to an extreme, believing it means that the person doesn't have a bank account or doesn't have access to a bank account for whatever reason. So as a borrower, you can borrow up to $1,000. You can't borrow $1,000 immediately. You have to work up smaller transactions to be able to access a $1,000 loan. These loans range from 5 days to 28 days. The borrower will make a request for money. The lender will go into the Solo marketplace, select their loan, either agree to their terms or make a different offer to how much interest that person must pay. The borrower can then either accept the terms or make a counteroffer. This goes back and forth until both the borrower and lender are agreed upon terms. The minimum interest you will pay is $0 or 0%. The maximum you will pay is 10% as a borrower. The maximum you'll make on these investments are 10% as a lender. Now, one of the greater purposes of Solo Funds is to get Americans away from needing access to payday loans. They quote studies saying that 77 million Americans are living paycheck to paycheck and are at risk in needing to access payday loans in case of emergency. So we're going to go over first the reason why I downloaded the app. I downloaded the app to make extra money. As any of you out there know, if you invest 10% on a 5-day investment is a great return. Solo Fund touts that 3 of their other benefits are that there are no minimum requirements for lending, you have a social impact on fellow Americans, and that you are lending directly to the person in need. Now, nowhere in their advertised benefits does it state security. They have measures in place to regain your money in case of a non-payment. These measures are pretty much limited to sending notifications to the borrower's phone every 5 days and attempting to debit their account every 5th day for the amount owed to the lender. As for the borrower, Solo advertises 4 benefits. 1, it's affordable. You'll never pay more than 10% for a loan. The loans can be made on your terms, given that the lender agrees to your terms. There is no application, and there are no hidden fees. Going back to what I was saying about security, as a lender, you have almost zero security with these investments. You are lending money to someone you only know their first name and last initial of, and have access to a small photo. You have no idea where they live, you have no idea what their credit history is, and you don't even know their last name. Another huge downside for the lender is the lender ends up paying for their loans to get funded faster. When you go as a borrower and request for a loan, you have the option of tipping Solo. If I were as a borrower to go into Solo Funds and ask for a $100 loan, I could then tip Solo Funds $4 for instance. Gets your loan moved to the top of the Solo marketplace so it gets more views from lenders. But when the lender funds your loan of $104, only interest will be made on the principal amount. Those $4 will disappear from the lender and go directly to Solo Funds. The $100 will go to the borrower, and then if and when repaid, the lender will recoup the $104 plus any interest based on the $100. An average example of this would be a repayment of $114. Now just to go over my experience with the app. For the first 3 days, this app made me some money. I downloaded and started using the app after it was only about a year old. As people were still new to the app, most borrowers were new to the platform and were only requesting $50 to $100. In the small section for the description, they were saying early payment or immediate payment. I was fast to jump on these kinds of borrowers. Out of the 30 total loans that were actually repaid from the borrower, 27 of those had the description of build account, early repayment, instant repayment. Now when I give somebody $300 and they instantly repay me that same day $330, I've just made 10% for doing nothing. There are no transaction fees and I keep all profits. Throughout my use of the app, I issued about 40 loans. The total amount lent came out to be about $4,800. From this $4,800 lent, I made $241 of profit. Of those 40 loans, I have 10 sitting in collections, totaling $1,854. Now, like I mentioned, this app offers almost zero security for the lender. So let's go over what Solo's process is to recoup your money. First, the lender agrees with a borrower on terms. We'll say 10 days, $100 for a $10 profit, totaling $110 on the 10th day. On the 10th day, if the borrower does not repay, Solo Fund automatically gives them an additional 14 days without the approval of the lender. They consider this to be their grace period. They don't ask if the lender is okay with this, they just grant it. After the 14th grace day, the account goes pending collections. Now, Solo says that the lender has 3 options at this time, although it's really only 2. You can either gift the loan, which means forgive their debt, which I understand this being a social lending network. The other 2 options are to either send to collections immediately or give them another 30 days grace period. Now, Solo likes to make it seem like you have 3 options. If you select send to collections immediately, Solo automatically gives them another 30-day grace period before sending them to collections. Or you hit the 30-day grace period, and then at the end of that, they get sent to collections anyway. So really, it's the same option. After those additional 30 days of grace period, the loan is sent to an external collection agency. Now, like I said, I have 10 loans sitting in collections, totaling $1,800. The loan I hold that has been sitting in collection the longest was issued on May 13th. It is today, July 26th. They have been in collections for 2.5 months. I have not been contacted a single time by some external collection agency. I have no idea if there are any external collection agency working on recouping my money. When I say Solo Funds has no security for the lender, I mean it. They have no real legal way to recoup the lender's money if the borrower chooses to not repay. So I'm editing the video for the Solo Funds review and sharing my experience with the platform. And I'd just like to add that on top of Solo Funds either not having the legal grounds to go after the borrower or neglecting their responsibility to go after the borrower as the third-party platform between the borrower and lender, the lender also does not have enough information to go after the borrower themselves. You cannot sue in open court. You cannot hire your own external collection agency. All you know about this person is their first name and last initial. That is it. Solo will not give you any additional information. You have to entirely trust their collection process. If your loan is sent to collections, you better hope and pray that they do their job. Now, like Solo Fund's name states, they are social loans, SOLO. But really all this app does is ruin your hope for society. Let's talk about how society scams the lender. 3 out of the 10 loans sitting in collections are by people I had lent money to previously. When you open your account, unless you have a 720 or plus credit score, you start out with a Solo score of 45. Now, like your credit score, for every loan you take out and repay, your credit goes up. 3 out of the 10 loans I have sitting in collections requested loans earlier that I had funded, advertised as immediate repayment. I'm going to give 2 examples. One of these persons is in collections for $600. The other is in collections for $450. That is of principal amount. After interest and all late fees, they owe me over $1,200. The first example is Laura W. That's all you get. That's all I know. That's all I can give you. Her account doesn't even have a photo. I lent Laura W. her first loan and her second loan. She repaid them instantly. I made $30 of profit on her from 2 $150 loans. After that, she went back in the marketplace, probably while I was at work, and continued to get 4 other loans. She then had a Solo score of 97. She basically had access to request a loan amount of any value. She requested a loan amount of $450 with a maximum 10% tip of $45. Now, knowing that I had lent to her twice before and that she had also repaid 4 other loans with other lenders, I felt confident giving her another $450 with the same description, build account, fast repayment. She then took that $450 and disappeared. Now, the most information Solo Funds will give me is that her account is in collections And the reason she did not pay was a debit card issue, aka she canceled her debit card. The second example is Lysandra D. She actually has a photo on her profile. Now I lent to her a total of 3 times. Every single time she stated raise score, fast repayment. She repaid immediately every time. On the last time, she requested a $300 loan. I accepted the terms of her $300 loan with 10% interest. For whatever reason, Solo Funds had a glitch and issued her 2 $300 loans, even though I had only authorized 1. I have been fighting with Solo Funds for over 2 months to try and get the second loan that I did not authorize, get that money back. I have not received a dime, and I probably never will. The person from the first example had a score of 97. The person from the second example had a score of 83. By Solo standards, these persons should have been trustworthy borrowers. They had access to request almost any amount, and as a previous lender, you would have thought you could trust them. But there are just 2 examples of how people use this platform to ruin your hope for society. They request and repay multiple loans, receive a high score, gain your trust, and then steal over $1,200 from you. Now, like I said, those loans have been in collections for over 2 months. I have not been contacted by a single collection agency. I probably never will, and I will probably never get that money back. So, if you're a borrower, you now know exactly what to do to steal money from people. Don't do it. If you're a lender, you now know not to lend on this platform. Don't do it. According to their terms, if a borrower does not repay their loan, Solo can file a hit on their credit score. I doubt it will ever happen. So essentially, as a borrower, you can borrow money risk-free up to $1,000 with 0 penalties. And as a lender, you could lose up to $1,000 per person and have no hope of regaining your funds ever again. If you've used Solo Funds in the past as a lender or a borrower, or are going to use this information for evil, leave a comment down below with how much you stole. If you, like me, have had a similar experience, leave a comment down below so we can console each other. Otherwise, if you found this video entertaining or informational, please smash the like button. If you enjoy the content my channel is creating, please consider subscribing and getting notified. But until next time, don't use Solo Funds, and have a great day.